Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar, 4 Steps All Industry Workers should take now to survive and thrive this perfect financial storm. My name is Rudy Blanchett, along with my partner, Eric Greshner. Thank you for joining us today. We have a lot of great information to share with you and plenty more to come. So without any further ado, we will begin. Of course, we have to show you the normal disclaimers of any presentation of this sort to make sure that we are in compliance with the regulators. So please feel free to read these at your own convenience. Let's begin the presentation. Now, families working in the Louisiana oil and gas industry remain in the eye of the perfect financial storm. First, COVID-19 has shut down large sections of the economy, which has resulted in the greatest number of layoffs since the Great Depression. Now, the new administration has banned Keystone Pipeline and is placing moratoriums on the oil and gas industry. Our Louisiana oil and gas workers and their families continue to unfairly bear the brunt of this. Many energy workers have already lost their jobs, and those who have them are wondering if they're next. Again, my name is Rudy Blanchett, Eric Greshner. We are both fee-only financial advisors, both born and raised in Louisiana. We specialize in working with folks in the oil and gas industry and have done so for the past 2 decades. Eric is also a certified financial educator, instructor, and a former Wall Street analyst. We have been interviewed by various publications and taught at many universities across Louisiana. This mini webinar is just a brief introduction, only part 1 of a series of educational webinars we've created specifically for folks like you, people who have worked in our Louisiana oil and gas industry. In these purely educational financing training programs that we put together, we will teach you how to turn adversity into opportunity. You will learn not to just survive, but to thrive during this perfect financial storm. So let's get started.
First, just take a deep breath. If our team has learned anything over the decades of working with folks in the oil and gas industry, is that this industry, of course, is highly volatile. It has swings up and down, and I mean wide swings, decade after decade after decade. Whatever you do, don't panic. Don't make any impulsive changes. Don't do anything that could hurt you or your family's finances potentially for decades. A cool head, an informed decision-making process, a step-by-step process, a step-by-step punch list, a step-by-step proven system that we will lay out for you will significantly increase the probabilities that you will experience financial success.
Number 2, assess the situation. The very first thing a paramedic does when they first arrive on the scene of an accident is to size up the situation, the number of patients, the nature of the injuries, the equipment and resources required to stabilize the patient. Likewise, the first thing you should do is assess your current financial health. That is a mouthful, and we'll get more in detail on that a little bit later. But you want to make sure all your bases are covered. Be aware of all the issues you need to address. Avoid the traps for the unwary and look for the opportunities that are available in every situation, no matter how bad it seems.
Check each one of your financial vital signs. A doctor will check your pulse to start an examination. In the financial realm, we start with a written financial budget. And if you don't have one yet, get one, and I mean get one now. You need to know precisely the source, precisely the extent of any bleeding. You need to know how much money you have. You need to know how much, where it's going. It's simple. List all of your expenses in writing. Get all your income in writing. This is the very first step to regaining control over your finances. Rudy and I guarantee you, once you take this step, you will feel better once it's done. Your wallet will be cleansed. It will be primed. And in the end, your budget will be balanced. You will change from merely stabilizing your financial situation, to laying the foundation, the groundwork to leapfrogging ahead and turning this pushback in the energy industry from adversity into opportunity.
Now let's discuss the heart of the concerns many folks in the oil and gas industry currently have. What to do if I'm concerned I may lose my job, or already have lost my job? As a financial advisor and financial education instructor, I've been asked this question more than any other over the past year. So remember earlier, we talked a little bit about not making knee-jerk reactions to these developments. Instead, follow a process, a system. The great business management guru Edward Demings once said, if you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. Many jobs and actions are all process-based for safety reasons, so you or no one else makes a mistake. The same idea carries over the financial space. Don't skip any steps, follow a process, and things will turn out just fine. Now, we've created this flow chart, a process for our students in our class to help you do just that. For those of you who still have a job but are worried you might lose your job, start at the top bullet point in the upper left. If you're still employed, first thing you want to do is try increasing your emergency fund as a starting point. If you have a flexible savings account, spend the money while you're still employed or while you're covered under COBRA for items that you may need when you're unemployed. What if you've been laid off, downsized, or if your position was eliminated? Then start in the third bullet point from the top. As long as you weren't fired, you may be eligible for unemployment benefits. So make sure you get all of the benefits you deserve. Also check to see if there are any severance options, any employer benefits, including continuation of health insurance, sick pay, etc. What are your health insurance options? What are the pros and cons of each? Get details on your employer-sponsored retirement accounts, stock plans, and other benefits. What are your options, the pros and cons, and make sure you analyze each one individually.
The flow chart that Rudy and I put together for you here covers also tax planning and career planning opportunities that you may not be aware of for you. And it's all laid out for you in a written game plan, a step-by-step process. This is a lot to consider and to go over, we understand, in a little mini webinar, but let's hit the highlights. You may want to consider a home equity line of credit. Do you have a Roth IRA? This can be a source of penalty-free withdrawals, but one that comes potentially with big downsides. Do you have any vested or unvested stock options? They offer a lot of planning opportunities if you know what you're doing. Do you have any deferred compensation as well? This is opportunities, but also traps of being wary if you're not sure what you're doing. You make sure you know what you're doing or work with someone who does, because you really run into some pitfalls here. If you lose your job, there are a number of tax planning opportunities that open up to you, as well as career planning opportunities. This will go into detail and lay all the critical financials out for you. For a deeper dive into these flow charts and all the different wealth of opportunities that this present adverse situation can develop for you, watch our free educational trading masterclass that you could sign up at the end of this mini webinar. It's a financial success system that Rudy and I put together just for you, a financial success system for oil and gas workers and their families 101. We guarantee that watching is one of the highest return on investments of your time and energy that you could make. And again, it's free for you during this crisis for oil and gas workers and their families. Now, what is the third step to go ahead and do, right? Work on stabilizing your finances. Promptly administered financial first aid is the difference between financial deterioration and even bankruptcy versus coming out in the end stronger and financially healthier. Let's stop the bleeding now.
So cut spending. Once you have a written budget, review and reduce spending to improve your cash flow. You can reduce spending, for example, by 25% or more until the energy industry comes back. The drop in recreational spending as you practice social distancing can immediately provide a cushion. For example, movies, sporting events, going out to dinner, even travel, some of the things you're not able to do. That's low-hanging fruit where you should have been saving money in those respective areas of spending. So you want to approach budget cutting with a rifle shot, not necessarily a shotgun blast. Take each aspect of your financing plan individually and address it accordingly. Of course, save money, but also pay attention to the long-term needs. You still want to invest in yourself, your career, get that certification or advanced education that would allow you to demand a higher income and more security. And if possible, keep contributing if you can to your 401k plan. That's free money, and you want to take advantage of that, assuming they haven't reduced it or stopped it altogether. Next, you want to replace lost income from sources. They're there if you know where to look. Few things in life are as demoralizing as realizing you can't pay all your bills. The federal and state governments have so far been very, very proactive in providing a financial bridge to many Americans. We don't know how long this is going to continue, so you want to take advantage of it while it's still there. First, you want to look to Louisiana's unemployment policies to identify current options for benefits. The link to that is right on the screen, www.laworks.net. And there's another link to calculate your unemployment benefits, the second one. And of course, older adults typically are more impacted by the coronavirus and quarantine procedures than the general public. There may be government benefits available to the older adults who need financial help. For that, take a look at benefitscheckup.org and see if you qualify.
Next, reduce your current debt. If you haven't done so already, contact your lenders, your loan servers, and work with them proactively to manage your debt. Missing payments and potentially defaulting on loans or mistakes that could potentially haunt you and your credit for a long time after this current financial crisis is long gone and past. When you do contact them, have everything in a row ready to go. Be prepared to discuss your current financial and employment situation, how much you can afford to pay, when you're likely to restart regular payments, and finally have a good grip on your income expenses. That's where the budget we talked about earlier comes in, and your assets.
So here are a few more action items on the punch list. Mortgage payments, ongoing mortgage payments represent the single largest monthly expense for many citizens. Any relief here can make a substantial difference. And fortunately, homeowners are in a unique place to overcome this challenge. With your bank or mortgage company to temporarily discontinue your mortgage payments. For student loans, you can call 1-800, the number 4, FED-AID, or visit the local loan service website for the latest updates there. Credit card payments. Many credit card companies have offered cardholders varying degrees of relief during COVID-19. Potential assistance here may include reduced or delayed monthly payments, reduced interest rates and fees. Now, of course, the available relief for many of these programs is rapidly changing and soon may be phasing out. So jump on this while you can. Reach out to your individual credit card companies or visit the COVID-19 relief pages for the latest. Auto loans and lease payments, another hot topic. You know, most banks, credit unions, and other lenders, they don't want you to default on your loan or face repossession. It destroys customer relationships. It's expensive and it takes a lot of time. So in that regard, you want to use any remaining federal stimulus checks properly. If you have sufficient funds to support rent, utilities, and food, you might consider paying some of the stimulus money to keep your car loan current or ensure that you're not underwater for that loan. So protecting your credit now will pay huge benefits later when you need another car or mortgage or credit card. So you want to continuously check your credit report on an ongoing basis to make sure the forbearances or other modifications to your credit are not improperly reported.
Step 4, if you still need additional money, Rudy and I want you to think about it in a strategic fashion. There is an order, there is a hierarchy of assets for you to first tap into that will do the least amount of damage. And then there are those that we would ideally like you to avoid tapping into at all. Rather than tapping into your portfolio and cutting into the muscle, so to speak, first consider what Rudy and I call buffer assets. That's anything that's already set aside. For example, an emergency or a savings account. It could be cash value in a whole life insurance policy or even a home equity line of credit.
So here's the order to consider each alternative. First, look to emergency and savings accounts. Excuse me. An emergency fund typically consists of 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash or liquid investments. Then, if you have this, also explore any cash value in life policies. That may offer a source of emergency funds as well. Now, the next best source of capital for some may be their single largest asset, their home. You may want to consider an equity line of credit, a reverse style mortgage of some sort, to avoid selling your liquid assets in a market decline, for example. But be careful if you go this route, as most home equity line of credit loans are issued with variable interest rates. That is, if rates go up, that means your payments are going to go up. So you want to be careful there. Refinancing can also be a good way for homeowners to create cash flow, especially with today's low interest rates. So contact your local lender and just inquire about that opportunity, especially if you still have a job. And if that isn't enough, you may need to consider your investment portfolio. You want to tread carefully here, because going into your investment portfolio is what Eric and I call cutting into the muscle. What we mean by that is you risk creating long-term damage to your finances if you cut too deep. If you still have to go this route, consider this order. First, access your taxable brokerage accounts. Accessing a taxable account or a non-qualified account has several advantages, including speed and simplicity. However, you want to make sure you review the tax consequences before you sell any of your funds, because there could be a large tax bill if you sell appreciated assets. The next source may be traditional IRAs. The early withdrawal penalty is back in place for 2021, and income on any withdrawals will count as income for this year as well. But the COVID Tax Relief Act of 2020 allows for the same treatment for retirement plan withdrawals made because of qualified disasters. And what comes to mind is those folks in Lake Charles that got hit with the hurricanes. So you may qualify to have some relief there. So you want to check on that as well. And of course, the CARES Act allowed savers in 401k plans to borrow as much as $100,000 from their retirement accounts, which was up from $50,000 in 2019, and to defer payments on those loans for a year. Now, that change has been expanded in 2021, but you must meet the qualified disaster requirements. Roth IRAs is another source, because you can withdraw the contributed amounts that you put into the Roth at any time without tax or penalty. In this sense, a Roth can double as an emergency savings account. However, since tax-free growth is so valuable within a Roth IRA, Roth funds should only be withdrawn as a last resort for major emergencies, perhaps such as unemployment or a serious illness. And again, when withdrawing funds, you want to limit the withdrawal to your original contributions. If you have to go that route, don't dip into the earnings, or you generally will be penalized and or taxed. That being said, you can redeposit those withdrawals from Roth, preferably within 60 days or at the latest before the tax filing deadline for that year.
Another question that Rudy and I frequently get are about loans from a 401k plan. If you want to explore this, first of all, check and see if your retirement plan even offers this option. Not all of them do. And even if they do, it is rarely a good idea to borrow from a retirement plan while it's in accumulation mode, if possible. And this is the case even if you plan to pay the money back within a certain time frame, because during this period, your money could be growing and it could be compounding. If you're taking it out, you're not taking advantage of what Albert Einstein called the magic of compound interest. Loans for 401k plan could be very risky if you later lose your job, but you're going to have to pay that loan back. And oftentimes it's within 90 days. And if you can't, you're going to owe taxes plus a 10% IRS penalty unless you're 59 and a half or older. 401k plans are an option, but this is way, way down the list of options that we would like you to consider. Should you roll over your 401k plan? This is the second most frequent question that Rudy and I have been asked over the last year. Remember what we talked about, a system, a process, a step-by-step checklist to make sure that's the best thing for you to do. The answer to that question is, well, it all depends. And to help make the framework for this decision easier for our students and our clients, Rudy and I created this flow chart that you can see. Should I roll over my 401k plan? We have limited time during this mini webinar, so we're just going to hit a few of the highlights. We will go into this in a deep dive in our free on-demand educational training masterclass, Financial Success System for Oil and Gas Workers and Their Families 101. If you register for this free masterclass, you'll also get a copy of this flow chart and the other one that we shared with you. Now, let's go through a few of the critical elements in here that we want you to go ahead and consider before you start making that decision. And you can see that they're written out on here, right? What should you do? How many investment options do you have in your 401k plan? Do you have 10? Do you have 20 associated with them? Many people find that by rolling it out of their 401k plan, the options expand considerably. They could literally go into the thousands. Number two, what are the expenses associated with the options in that 401k plan? Many times, the expenses can go considerably down because you have access to index funds, which in many cases can be 90 to 95% cheaper than what are available in the 401k plan. Another big scenario, by rolling out of that 401k plan, you can eliminate the administrative fee that are put on all plan participants. And many people are completely unaware that this even exists. We've seen it from 0.75% to even higher. By getting it out, you could roll it out of there and your options expand considerably. And one thing that Rudy and I like to chat about is cheaper, better, faster. We've laid this flow chart out for you that goes into more detail. And again, we don't have enough time during this little mini webinar, and we'll go into our masterclass more. But these are the items that you need to consider to make the best decision for you.
Well, owner of the Dallas Mavericks and Shark Tank star Mark Cuban once said, creating opportunities means looking where others are not. And that's exactly what each and every one of us should be doing in the midst of this health crisis, which is now morphed into a financial crisis. So we've shared with you the 4 basic steps on what to do now to stop the bleeding. We've shown you how you can start to regain control over your financial life and lay the foundation blueprint to a successful financial future. We've shown you that oil and gas workers and their families, that a process and a system, once implemented, can significantly increase your probabilities for financial success. But you know what? To be successful with this, you're going to need more than just a short webinar alone. We know you can be successful. However, you're going to need just a little bit more financial education. You're going to have questions that need to be answered, and you might need a little bit help in the accountability department too. But let me tell you, we take our jobs very seriously here. we take our commitment to our students and our clients very seriously. Now, we can't do that with just a short video that only covers a part of the picture. Our success rate when people stop right here is almost 0%. However, our success rate for those who work and follow our financial education programs, who read our white papers, who implement the steps that we've laid out for them, that success rate goes through the ceiling. Now, if information were enough, all you would have to do is just Google it. But you need a guide that has been there before. You need a guide who can take you there right now, a guide that knows what you're going through for the that we put together, and follow the steps that we've laid out for you. You can say goodbye to stress. You'll never have to worry or be worried about your financial future. And can you imagine what life will be like when those things have instantly disappeared from your life?
Rudy and I have shared with you during this mini webinar a quick overview of the 4 basic steps to just get started. We've shown you how you could begin to lay the foundation for regaining control of your financial life. You need a blueprint going forward to a successful financial future. We've shown that you only need a process to get started to make this work. But you know what? To be truly successful with this, you need more than just a short webinar alone. We know that you could be successful, but you need a little bit more financial education. You will have questions that need to be answered. You might also need a little bit of help in the accountability department too. And let me tell you this, Rudy and I take our jobs very seriously. We will not let you quit on yourself. We will get through everything together. We can't do this with just a short little video that does only a little bit of the entire picture. Our success rate with people who stop right here is almost 0. But our success rate for those who start with this and go through our entire program goes literally through the ceiling. Now, what are the steps with the highest return on an investment of your time and your energy? Register for our purely educational masterclass, A Financial Success System for Oil and Gas Workers and Their Families 101. We go into much more detail, that and additional tips and resources that are not covered in this little mini webinar, and we'll walk you through these flowcharts and more that we created just for you. If you went to a stockbroker, if you went to a bank or an insurance company, this will cost you literally thousands of dollars if they would do it even at all for you, which is very doubtful. Instead, during this time of this ongoing financial crisis and the energy industry, Rudy and I are giving it to you literally for free. That's right. I said free. To register is simple. Just go to the bottom of the landing page as soon as this mini webinar ends and keep the momentum. Sign up and register for a free 101 masterclass. I promise you that Rudy and I will teach you how to get the ball into the proverbial end zone. And it didn't stop with our free comprehensive masterclass 101 that we're offering you. It's literally just beginning. Rudy and I also created for you our free white paper. This is part 1 of our training program 101. In our white paper, we cover 102. You will learn additional detailed steps to turn this adversity into opportunity. This financial crisis set many in the industry sector one step back. We're going to give you the process to step 1, 2 steps forward, to leapfrog ahead, to get a financial successful game plan for 2021. If you're ready to turn your financial life around and turbocharge your nest egg, we've laid it all out for you in our white paper as well. Just email Rudy at regattaresearch.com or me, Eric at regattaresearch.com. It doesn't matter. We work together as a team, and we'll send it out to you. That's it. There's no cost. There is absolutely no obligation whatsoever. If you want more market data, research, commentary, info, and upcoming financial training programs. That's what we do. Follow Rudy, follow myself on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And you can also go to our website at gadaresearch.com.
Well, we look forward to you joining us on our free masterclass training webinars designed just for folks in the oil and gas industry like you. It's easy and simple to register. Just make sure you click on the bottom of the page, that button right there, register now, and that's it. You're in. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to share our knowledge with you. See you again soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you.